Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. It is just past 4 o'clock here on the Saturday evening. Just want to do as I always do here at the beginning, real quick. If anyone in the chat just wants to let me know if we're all good on the audio, and we'll keep things rolling here. But in the meantime, we're here to talk about the ongoing winter weather here across the area. Now that we're here in the back half of the day, things have kind of picked up in intensity for some places. There's other locations, though, where we maybe have seen about all that we're going to see here for the day today, but not without some pretty impressive work left behind as well. Looks like audio is in good shape here, so we're going to head and proceed. We'll start here. I'll bring this full screen. This is a look at kind of our quad cam for multiple different locations here in the area. Just picked Springfield, Danville, Effingham, and Champaign, although not necessarily the four places with the most action, just four places that kind of span the area best. This is what's happening actively right now in those locations. And we've got down there in the bottom right corner, Geese Memorial Stadium, where the Illini are set to kick off and play some football in about 2.5 hours. And boy, is that going to be quite the scene to behold. For many, from the comfort of their home, watching on their couch and enjoying the scenery. But for those actually heading to the game, well, it might not be the most enjoyable, but it'll certainly be something that you will never forget if you find yourself heading out there to that game. And of course, if you are heading that way, please be careful because there is plenty of snow on the ground. Let's take a look here at your radar picture, which has some of the heaviest snow starting to push east of I-55, which is a good thing because they have got plenty of snow on the ground here at the up to the 4 o'clock hour. So now all of a sudden we're starting to see the heaviest snow of the day in parts of the north and eastern part of the area, such as Bloomington probably getting their heaviest wave of the day, Champaign getting another heavy wave through here. And places like Monticello, Arcola, Tuscola getting another round, Mattoon and Charleston. You get the picture there. Anywhere you see the darker colors, that is where we are getting our most intense snowfall bands. And one thing I want to show you on here before I get too far is a pretty cool feature that doesn't happen all the time with snow events. It's happened a few times here in the past. But if I back it up far enough, hopefully we'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. These little lightning bolts popping up here. We actually had some thunder snow at points in time. And please let me know if you heard some of that, because that is not something that happens all the time with these snowfall events. Because typically when you have thunder, when you have lightning, it's really warm outside and it's spring or summertime, something like that. There's a very unique setup sometimes that allows for the cold conditions that bring you some heavy snow, but also just the intensity and the development of the snowstorm that is similar to a thunderstorm that allows you to actually hear some thunder or see some lightning. So very unique setup that direction. We actually did have a few lightning bolts pop up here, even closer to I-57, just a few occasional ones. You can see a couple down there in southern Logan County. You'll see another one pop up here. I think there was one close to, somewhere out here in Piatt County at one point in time, maybe between Cisco and Cerro Gordo. So very neat to be able to kind of get in on some of that thunder snow action, because something that you maybe see online sometimes, something that you hear about, but not always something that you get to experience for yourself. So it is certainly cool to be able to be part of that. Let's look at our road conditions according to the IDOT map here. And to no one's surprise, there's going to be lots of blue, lots of pink on here, and it's almost exclusively pink, which makes sense with the way the day has gone so far. So travel conditions still not ideal. I've had to make just a few crosstown trips here in Champaign. It takes a little bit of extra time, as you might imagine. Things are really kind of slushy on the roads. And I think what I find the most difficult part is whenever you're at these intersections that have maybe 3 or 4 lanes going all 4 directions. So you've got all these tire marks there in the middle of the intersection, or these paths where a vehicle before is taken. And if you just try to go straight, you're kind of getting in 4 or 5 different tire paths through there that have been carved out before. So it's very easy just to kind of move around there as you're just trying to simply pass through the intersection. So that is certainly going to continue to be a problem. The good thing is we just showed you on the radar picture, some of the heaviest snow has actually exited places around the I-55 region. We might have just a few little bursts still to go, but I think overall things are starting to look up a little bit as far as the active snowfall goes, at least out to the west. Let's show you temperatures now, which seems irrelevant because, well, yeah, we all know it's cold, but it's actually going to play a pretty important role in how things kind of move forward here, because we've got temperatures that are slightly above freezing out there in Jacksonville and in Springfield. That's kind of some of that warmer air starting to move on into the picture. And eventually, maybe not right now because we're just barely above that freezing point, but eventually we are going to see those numbers increase just a little more, and that might kind of trim down the snowpack that we've got right now. Maybe even if there's still some precip left, bring in some rain, and then all of a sudden it's going to mix into that snow and kind of congeal things a little more, compact things a little more, and just kind of make things look like they are shrinking a little bit. But still plenty of places there below that 32-degree mark across the area. You look at the statewide temperatures, it's 37 in St. Louis. That warm air is not too far away, 40 down there in Carbondale. So we're kind of starting to get that warmer air to be introduced up this direction. And again, that will kind of change the math here as we get deeper into the afternoon and into the evening. Another thing that's been pretty common here across the area, some pretty strong winds. There have been times where the snow is a little more powdery in nature. That it means with winds like this, it's been able to blow around quite a bit. You're seeing some snow drifts in certain locations. So that is also another thing that is starting to take shape here. But notice not everywhere seeing those strong wind gusts. It's kind of a hit or miss as far as that goes. We're still going to be under these advisories and warnings here for a little bit. Not sure what button I hit there to bring the sky cams back up, but we'll bring up your alerts graphic again here. This is pretty, I don't want to say pointless at this point in time, but you know what's going on right now. But it's going to continue to see these winter storm conditions, at least with the wind blowing around, the snow. We're going to see that continue here still through the remainder of the evening. Now let's get a look here at your future track, which is going to show you kind of what we're expecting here as we progress through the night. And I'll go ahead and bring that full screen just so it's a little easier for you to see. This one right now is kind of, I'd say it's doing a pretty decent job of depicting what's happening. As we take it forward in time here, you can start to see a lot more green on the map. That means a little bit of that rain mixing into the picture. And eventually that is going to, again, kind of modify the snow that we see at the ground. And even by 9 or 10 o'clock tonight, we could actually see things pretty effectively quiet down. And then after that, there's not going to be a whole lot extra added. On top of that, anyone heading to the Illini game or going to be at the game, it might still be going on around there, around 7, 8. Obviously, it's going to be still going around 7 or 8 o'clock, but still into the 9 o'clock hour. Things will look a little different. It might start to become a little more of a wet, rainy mess at some point in time. So just have that in the back of your mind if you are heading that direction. And then again, not too much more activity is expected as we get deeper into the night. Another thing to illustrate here, talked about some of those warmer temperatures. We are going to back this one way up because we're way too far ahead on that one. So your temperatures here in the next couple of hours are going to really start to warm up. As you saw on the current temps map, here's the future temps map. All of a sudden we could see 36, 37 degrees pop up here on the page, and that will start to be something for everyone. So like I said, around 8 or 9 o'clock, take a look at some of these numbers. That is going to make a huge difference. All of a sudden, we're not going to keep piling the snow. We're going to see it trim down and shrink just a little bit. So the amount of snow that's on the ground in a lot of places right now might be as high as it gets, despite the fact that you might be seeing some continuing snow here over the next couple of hours. Here's an interesting graphic. I know some people are going to have some differing reports. I saw that on one of the posts that I made here at one point in time. Here are some of the snowfall reports that we've got from you. Everyone's yard is going to look a little different. There's probably a few spots that are going to top each and every one of these, but this just kind of gives you a general idea of how much snow we've seen here in certain parts of the area. What you can take away from this is the fact that out there closer to I-55, that's where your big winners have been. Your Riverton, Springfield, Auburn, Greenview out that direction. Looks like we've kind of surpassed that 7-inch mark, gotten even close to 10 inches in a few places, as we can see right there in Riverton. A lot of other places, though, find themselves in that 5 to 7-inch range. Decatur just beyond 7 inches in one report. Mattoon and Charleston kind of around that 7-inch mark as well. Shelbyville in that range. Again, you get the picture. Just about everybody has seen about at least 2 or 3 inches here across the area at this point in time, except maybe a few spots down south and then to the far east that really haven't seen a whole lot in the way of snow just yet. So those are some of your confirmed numbers that we've seen from reports where people are kind of using the rulers, kind of measuring several different spots. Again, your report in the similar town may differ here just a little bit, but that's kind of there to give you a general idea of what we are seeing. Let's talk about some travel here as we move forward in time through this evening and into the night tonight. It's still going to be tricky because it is still sideways blowing snow. I can even see it on some of the sky cams here in the back of the studio. So that's going to continue to cause issues over the next several hours. Hopefully any kind of trip that you have to make is a short one because there's nothing wrong with that as long as you take it nice and slow. I've heard all kinds of people traveling across the area today that this interstate's not been good or this highway's not been good or this side road hasn't been good. that's to be expected, because even though the crews are doing a pretty good job of keeping up with some of this stuff, did a good job treating it before, the snow's just coming down at such an intense rate. Like I said, it's that slushy snow that kind of doesn't really scoop away all that well. It's harder to scoop up, harder to get rid of. So we are going to have to deal with that here for the next several hours. The good thing is, once that final wave comes through, once we start to get some of that warmer air and maybe replace it with some rain, then you're not piling things up anymore. Then whatever you scoop up off the road, there's not going to be anything placed on top of that aside from just a little blowing snow. So it will get a little easier to travel as we get deeper into the night. But I still say, if you're making some cross-state trip or out-of-state trip, it's probably best just to wait and see how things are tomorrow morning and then pretty much go from there. All right, so I've talked about it a couple of times, but I just want to give you the official forecast here for the Illini game against Northwestern. It is not going to be super fun. That snow may turn to rain at some point in time as the temperatures get a little bit warmer, but you're still talking about between 33 and 35 degrees. You're talking about wind gusts around 30 miles an hour. The field is going to have plenty of snow on it. They're going to be clearing it off, of course, but up in the stands, there's going to be plenty of snow over the bleachers as well. So going to be quite interesting. I, for one, am very excited to see how it looks from the comfort of the studio here on the television screen. But if you're going out there and you're going to support the Illini, then you truly should consider yourself one of the biggest fans. Not that this is the worst thing to sit through, but it's not going to be particularly fun. In fact, very good timing that I just mentioned that. I'm going to show the Memorial Stadium sky cam again here. I'm going to bring it up on its own. And you might imagine that might not be the most fun environment to sit in if you are on the right side of the stadium there, to where you can kind of get the wind block. Maybe it won't be all bad. But yeah, if you're just kind of out there in the seats, just kind of having a good time, you probably won't be having the best time just with the way things are going up that direction. All right, that kind of wraps up, kind of catches you up to speed, I should say, on everything that's happening out there right now. Another thing I'll do is show you the current visibility map. Generally gives us a pretty good idea of where things are kind of snowing the heaviest, where the snow's blowing around the most, and plenty of spots still with a mile or less of visibility, mainly across the central part of the area now. Notice things are improving a little bit out west. The places like Springfield, the places like Jacksonville that have seen the most snow up until this point, that have had the low visibility the entire time up until this point, they are finally starting to see things at least improve a little bit. Again, that doesn't go for every single place just outside of those towns, but the general trend is that things should continue to improve a little bit as the evening goes on, due to the fact that that snow is finally starting to push out. So let's take a look at the sky cams here. Just going to kind of show you a general tour of the area. So once again, here we are looking at Memorial Stadium in Champaign. Let's take a look out to the west in Springfield. We'll play around with that camera here a little bit, just kind of take a look at the scene. And you can still see the snow coming down, not at the same clip that it was at one point in time, but it's still blowing around pretty good in the wind, still coming down at a pretty good clip here. You can see the state capitol building there in the background as well. I'm making for a nice little skyline here in the distance. We zoom things on down to street level, and we can see the roads right there in town. They seem to be in okay shape. Again, here I am talking from a few hundred feet up on a sky cam. I can't really tell exactly what's happening there, but there's some slush on the road. It's probably not the most fun to drive in. So again, just be careful if you are there in Springfield or pretty much anywhere, because things are still in winter weather mode out that direction. Let's just take a look outside in Champaign here, just outside from our studio on the studio tower here. You'll see the intersection of Green and Neal Street not looking fantastic. Plenty of white there on the road, so definitely recommend traveling several miles an hour under that speed limit, because there's just a lot happening there. And I mentioned earlier, I'm going to try to zoom in and get the effect. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about here just by using words, but to just illustrate these intersections that have at least 3 lanes going each direction, it just makes for some, difficult traveling there in those intersections, because even though everyone has to go through the same one, there's a path going right, there's a path going left, there's a path kind of doing a little bit of in between. It's difficult to completely go straight through those intersections, because the snow is just going to kind of move its way right into your tires there and kind of force you one direction or the other. Good thing there's a plow like that one underneath the Duncan sign that is moving on through here to kind of make things a little easier in Champaign. So keeping an eye on that situation in the roads here in town. Let's head over to Charleston. We have a pretty good view at a busy intersection there in Charleston that allows us to kind of gauge what's happening there in Coles County. And you can see just one car moving through the intersection right now, roads look a little quiet here, at least in this snippet of time that we're looking out there in Charleston. But not the best conditions there. Visibility down pretty good. You can kind of barely see some of the buildings there just across the road. And the roads themselves still covered up quite a bit. So again, just kind of take things nice and slow. We got one guy down there, it looks like, kind of braving the conditions. A couple of people actually walking out there braving the conditions. So hopefully he can kind of get away from the snow here at some point, find their way indoors. One place that we'll go to now is out to the east in Danville, where things haven't been quite as bad through the day, but now all of a sudden you're starting to get some of that heavier snow to finally make it your direction. So even though the accumulation hasn't been anything crazy out there just yet, now we're finally starting to catch up a little bit and kind of reach those numbers that we were expecting now that some of these heavier rounds are in. But Danville's kind of set up very nice here for a winter weather scene. I don't know if their lights are on just yet, but they've got some nice holiday lights here downtown that just kind of match the mood here a little bit. We'll see if any of them are on here just yet. Doesn't look like just yet, but this tree here that you'll see in the bottom right corner, that one's usually kind of lit up. Looks like a nice little Christmas tree. So kind of fit in the mood here as we get ready to head on into December. Just a couple more of these cameras here, then we'll switch to something else. We'll check Mattoon. That one's kind of been going in and out today. We'll see if it's frozen still or not, or if it's giving us a live feed. I don't like the fact that it's taking its time to switch here. So yeah, that one's kind of been frozen a little bit throughout the day. So we won't look at that one too long since it's not giving us any recent information. And heading over to Effingham now, things have been okay down there. They've gotten some heavy snow in batches here throughout the day. It's been light, then heavy, then light, then heavy. So kind of in between there with some of those accumulations, but still able to get close to 5 inches according to a few reports. So that's the situation down in Effingham. And then one final look here, we'll go over to Decatur, see what things are looking like there in town. And to no one's surprise, pretty much the same story, just as all the other places. The roads covered up a little bit. You can kind of see some of the grayish, kind of concrete mixed slush that is going on some of those roads. Overall, pretty peaceful picture though as we look on in Decatur, and not a whole lot of travel happening there through town right now either. So just kind of a neat thing to see here right now. So another thing I'll do, that is our Skycam network. Let's also look at the IDOT camera network that kind of lets you see some interstates and kind of see how traveling across the area. We'll look here. We'll start all the way off to the west, as far west as I can go here. And of course, I said interstate. Some of these are just U.S. and Illinois highways here, but we'll head out to Jacksonville. This is where US 67 and Illinois 104 meet. So you can see the roads have cleared off quite a bit that direction. We'll head out to US 67 at Lincoln Avenue there. Also in Jacksonville, you can see things are cleared off pretty good there. So not looking too bad, but let's look at some interstate conditions outside of Springfield. This is looking out towards I-72, just outside there in Springfield. So it looks cleared up for the most part, but wouldn't be too surprised to still see just a little bit of snow covering the road. So definitely take it a little slow if you are traveling on some of these freeways that normally are, built there for you to kind of go at your own pace, but definitely want to keep things a little slower this time. Let's head out now to Decatur. Also looking at I-72 here, we can see things are quite covered that direction too. So some places in better shape than others. The places that are seeing the heavy snow right now, those are the ones that have the trickiest travel, even though places like Springfield, Jacksonville have gotten the heavier snow up until this point. It's kind of let up that way, or at least not coming down at the same clip. So it's easier to kind of plow things out and kind of catch up with some of that. Heading to Argenta, this is looking at I-72 eastbound. And plenty of coverage there on the roads as well. In fact, a couple of lanes, it almost looks like maybe just that right lane is clear here on the closer side. So not perfect conditions here in places, and it'll be kind of the case as we try to catch up and clear off some of these roadways. Let's head now to Champaign. That is definitely one that is not updating because it should be quite snowy here. And sorry, getting some of my cameras corrected here because that one obviously not loading. Let's look at, there we go, Champaign I-74, where it meets Prospect here in town. You can see those interstates kind of partially covered as well. So a lot's happening here on these interstates, as you can clearly see, not just 72 and 74, but also 57. Let's take a look at Mattoon here along I-57, and where it also turns into Illinois Route 16 there. So plenty of coverage still that direction. You kind of get the idea. I know I'm saying the same stuff kind of over and over again here, but any interstates out there, any kind of major road, none of them are perfect. We've had some more time to catch up with some of the conditions compared to others, but still going to have to battle just a little bit of adversity no matter which roadway you end up picking here. Let's head to Effingham, where a couple of major intersections meet, I-57 and, a couple of major interstates meet, I-57 and I-70 there. That's looking from Keller Drive, so not looking too bad right there in town. But if we look at the Green Creek rest area, not looking too bad. Can see the lanes have cleared up a good amount there, so maybe not as bad out that direction. And let's see, let's pick one more here. Oh, let's look at I-70 somewhere. Haven't talked a lot about I-70. I see someone requesting St. Elmo. I think I can get you as good as Montrose. I don't think I have anything out there in Fayette County camera-wise, but can probably be able to kind of think that it looks similar. I know Montrose and St. Elmo are decent ways away, but that's kind of what the I-70 region looks like here right now. You can see that left lane again kind of covered up a little bit. Right lane, though, in good shape. So that is what the interstate situation looks like here across much of the area. Let's take a quick peek in Urbana real quick. And this is University Avenue and Cunningham here. So again, these are the kind of intersections I'm talking about because you've just got so many different lanes, so many different directions there right in the middle. And it just makes it hard, even if you're trying to go straight, to go straight because that snow is quite solid and it's going to kind of push your tires around regardless of what direction they are trying to go. So got to watch out for stuff like that. I'm going to take a final look out to the east in a place like Danville, kind of check out what it's like out towards their direction. This is I-74 and Bowman, where they kind of overlap. Again, same sort of story. Right lane, pretty good. Left lane, maybe a little bit covered there. So that is kind of the regional look at some of the roads and some of the towns and cities. Also, don't want to forget folks up to the north. We'll take a couple looks. We'll take a look at a couple of those. Pontiac, you can see snow coming down at a pretty good clip up there. Some of the northern places, I feel like I've been keeping an eye on it throughout the day. I haven't heard a whole lot of reports from places like Bloomington, places like Pontiac. They got some snow early, but I'm not exactly sure how things have been keeping up that way. It sure looks like the snow has been coming down at a decent clip for a while. I just kind of look at some of the surroundings. Doesn't look like anything wild. So if anyone's got like a snowfall report up there around the Bloomington normal area, around Pontiac, or even a Gibson City type place, we can also look at the Gibson City camera and see what's happening that way too. This one's also kind of been freezing on me throughout the day, but here we are kind of glitching out here just a little bit, but they've got a decent amount of snow out there closer to the hospital as well. So that is a very extensive look here at our Skycam network, but that's kind of the best way to kind of showcase you across the area because everyone's dealing with some different conditions. So everything's going to look a little different depending on where you are, especially for some locations that are kind of seeing some of that snow come to a little bit of an end or starting to see the snowfall rates kind of trim down. Again, here's current look at your radar picture right down there around I-55. That's where things are certainly starting to kind of wrap up here a little bit. But I-57 region, this is where we're going to start to hit our peak as far as the snow pack goes. And we are going to see kind of our final measurements here in the next couple of hours. Speaking of final measurements, here's another look at some of your snowfall totals. Again, this was as of 3:45, so this has been a good 40 minutes ago. So some of these might have to add a little bit to it. And again, it's just kind of representative of the region that these places are in. You might have a higher report or a lower report in one of these towns. This is just kind of a way of guesstimating some of the higher end totals there that we have received across the area. So quite a bit across the I-55 region where you've got that 7 to 10 inches. And then a lot of us here kind of south of I-72, north of I-70 have found ourselves pretty snugly in that 5 to 7 inch range. I'm seeing someone comment here. Terry says about 3 inches in Bloomington, which again is helpful to know because we haven't gotten a lot of reports from out that direction. So if you have a report, I would love to hear it here in the chat. You can kind of message one of us too on Facebook or anything like that, because you're the ones that are out there in the snow. I can look at as many sky cams as I want, but I don't have a sky cam in every single town here in the area. So it's, of course, helpful for you in the comfort of your own home to kind of just let me know what you're seeing out there and how things are going. Let's check back in on Memorial Stadium here, because I saw someone mention what's the tailgating looking like. We're going to take a peek out there in Grange Grove, and we're going to see if there's any brave souls kind of fighting the conditions there, because I didn't expect people to be tailgating at noon, but now that we're about 2 hours away from the game, I myself am curious to see what it's like up there out front, to see if anybody is kind of braving the conditions. I know some of these lots have been adjusted to where you can't quite park in as many of them. There's a little bit of a crowd out there. Again, I don't know what I was expecting, because I didn't expect things to be completely full here. But we've got some tents that have got some windbreakers there, kind of covering things up. So maybe getting inside one of those isn't too bad. But yeah, the scene out front for the final game of a winning season here for Illinois, probably not what you would imagine, but also you'd imagine things to look a little more green than white. And that is clearly the case here as well. Our camera can kind of get us inside the stadium just a little bit here. We'll see how far I can angle it and kind of see if the seats are a little covered. We have the lights on in the stadium now too, and that's all the farther east my camera can point. We can see the lights kind of beaming down into the stadium there, that snow blowing around. Some of those upper level seats, which I'm sure not a lot of people are going to sit in those for a game like this, but it might be hard to actually tell what's going on in the field. The crew out there on the field is going to have to work really hard there to make sure the snow is kind of scraped off and make sure that those yard lines are visible, because the yard lines are painted white also. So just kind of a whole mess out there. Again, really curious to see how this game is going to go. I'm not anticipating a lot of kicks, not anticipating a ton of passes here, but it'll be neat. This is kind of the Midwest football that we kind of hope that we see at least one game like this a year, just because it is pretty neat. But I'm sure the players appreciate the days where it's 50 or 60 degrees out and sunny, and they don't have to worry about anything beyond just the game on the field, as opposed to how the weather is going to impact the way they play. So that pretty much catches everyone up to speed on what you need to know right now. I would gladly answer a couple of questions, take a look at a few comments here, anything that you have to add, but just wanted to hop on here and make sure that we were keeping you in the know with everything, since CBS has been pretty busy with some of their programming today. We don't have a whole lot of on-air time, but of course that's why we have these digital platforms, is to allow ourselves to jump on here kind of in a more casual way, kind of chit-chat back and forth directly with the viewers, because this is kind of cool. It's almost like it's a newscast, but I can actually talk back and forth to you guys, whereas, of course, I can't do that on television. So yeah, let's take a look at some of these chats here, and while I do that, so I'll just kind of bring things full again, and we'll bring it back out front to Grange Grove there, just to kind of check out the scene while we browse a few comments here and see what's going on. So we'll turn things, look back out there to the west. All right, looking at some comments here. Deanna says about 8 to 9 inches in Mattoon. So yeah, there's a few reports that may be able to sneak up a little higher than what may have been seen on that board there for sure. Some other places, Melvin, 2.5 inches, Foosland, 3.5 inches. Lee says no snow in Alabama. Good to hear. Alabama getting some snow. I'm sure it's happened before, but I'm sure it's kind of an adventure when something like that happens down that way. 7 inches in Cerro Gordo. Someone says not sure how many inches there are in Mattoon. One side of the yard is 6 inches, and the other side is 10 inches. One good rule of thumb to kind of go about measuring your snow. If you can find a nice flat surface, that's always best. You can usually tell if there's some snow drifts in the ground. Try to avoid those, because drifts are different than actual kind of legitimate snowfall reports, because you're kind of skewing the totals a little bit, because 95% of the snowpack could be 5 inches, but there's one drift that says 10 inches, and it can kind of skew things. So just kind of take about 4 spots or so, kind of plant the ruler down there if it's a flat surface, and just kind of average them out. If you have a 5, a 7, and 2 6s, then it kind of averages out to 6, and that would be a good way to report some of those totals. But it is kind of fun sometimes seeing what those drifts amount up to, because the drifts are where the fun happens. That's where you get your snowball ammunition. That's where you can start to build your snowmen. So it's always fun to do that. And also, I forgot to mention, kind of a wetter snow in nature. This is good snowball weather for the most part, kind of powdery at one point in time in a few locations. So, but if you want to get out there, the kids want to have a snowball fight, this is some good weather to have it. And hopefully things go well with that. Just be careful out there in the cold for too long. Again, kind of hard to Mason. Mason wants a shout out. Let me see. Can I give Mason a shout out? Yeah, there you go. There's your shout out, Mason. Won't do that for everyone, but I saw that one on there and thought that would be fun to toss that one up there. So sure, there you go. There's your shout out. Some other comments here. Is it going to turn to rain later? Is it going to change to rain at any point in time? So I'll go ahead and bring that up on Future Track again here real quick. And I just kind of show you. In fact, I'll bring up radar here first just because it might actually be happening here in a few locations. So we kind of just look out here to the south and west. You can kind of see, again, these radars aren't perfect with determining where that rain snow line is, but just the fact that there's some green starting to pop up indicates that transition is happening somewhere. So you can see out here down I-72 just outside the area, some of those green blobs popping in. That might be where those temps are 34, 35 degrees, finally warm enough to allow for some rain down there closer to the surface. You'll get little weird anomalies like that where you just see a green circle in the middle of the snow. That's just kind of radar doing its best to interpret some things here. But yeah, there is a little bit of rain starting to work on in. So to answer your question, there might be some cold rain starting to lift into the area. That might be a factor here more over the next couple of hours, but you're seeing the very beginning of that process here start to take shape. And if we bring up Future Track again, we will see kind of that transition take place here over the next couple of hours. You can see around 5 or 6 p.m. some of the greens start to lift into the picture there. And that is where things are going to be much different, because then we're dealing with some of that compaction of the snow with some of that rain. Things are going to become a little more wet than what they already are. But as mentioned, we should really quiet down here over by the 8 or 9 o'clock hour. A lot of this should be out of here, and there's not too much to worry about from that point onward in the night, aside from the fact that I talked about temperatures are going to, of course, warm up here in the next few hours. They're going to get up to that 35, 36 degree range. But look what happens the rest of the night. Then we drop back down into those 20s. So there might be a little melting going on. There might be just a little bit of that kind of rain mixing into the picture. That's going to be allowed to kind of refreeze again once we cross the midnight hour. So anything that melts might become a little frozen, a little harder to remove as we get deeper into the night. So we'll have to watch out for that. I think early Sunday morning, there might be some icy conditions in a few locations, but there won't be anything more falling to the ground. So it'll be a little easier to kind of stay on top of things, get those roads cleared off. But there might be some more icy spots compared to what we might be seeing right now. So that's kind of how temperatures are going to take shape here through the night. We'll check here for a couple more questions. Let's see here. Yeah, just got a couple of people asking, is it going to rain later, stuff like that, and everything else. Okay, so we'll kind of just hang out here for the next couple of minutes. Again, these updates I usually try to keep a little concise, between 30 and 40 minutes or so. We've also got a blog, the winter weather blog, up on our website. Try my best to keep up with that, but of course I'm also here on the stream as well. But multiple different media sources here to make sure that you're staying up to date and kind of getting the information that you need here. One thing that's also nice is, let me see if I can do this here without causing some headaches, because I need to access the computer I'm streaming on. And sometimes when I do that, I have an infinite camera loop here. But I think I've got that problem defeated. So I'll do this. I'll show you the kind of the Google traffic maps here, and I'll go ahead and bring that full since it'll be much easier to see this way. So here's just kind of a look at current, how do I want to say this? The traffic speeds out there on the roads, kind of how the flow of traffic is moving along. This is different from your IDOT map. The IDOT map shows you how covered those roads are. This kind of shows you, is traffic moving at a normal pace? Is it kind of slowed down? There's lots of yellow out here across a lot of these interstates. And that indicates that even though it's not moving at normal speed, because why would it here in the snow, it's not orange, it's not red. We're not seeing any kind of complete standstills or anything like that, which has been a good thing. Kind of down there closer to Effingham, in fact, we got good bit of green. But yeah, I-57 north of that point, outside of Mattoon, Arcola, Tuscola, through Champaign, all the way into Iroquois County. You've got kind of that golden color there. Same situation on 72 and 74. I'm just thankful to not see too much in the way of red. Maybe a couple of little road closures there somewhere in Bloomington Normal. Not sure if that's weather related or not, but I'm sure there's a handful of those in some other towns as well. So yeah, that's kind of the lay of the land as far as that goes. I saw there was a picture circulating on the internet, I think east of Terre Haute. There is quite the pileup that happened out that direction. There was a lot of cars involved in that. So I'm just glad we haven't had anything like that out here so far here into the evening. And hopefully with things starting to calm down, that becomes less and less of a thing to worry about for us here at home. Now we'll bring back up your radar picture here and find my chat again. There we go. So yes, this is the situation here. We'll stay on for just another couple of minutes and then we'll pretty much wrap things up. Another thing I want to make note of here, I'll go ahead and actually bring this up. We'll go ahead and look at your 7-day forecast because haven't had a whole lot of time to talk about what else is happening outside of today. There could be another minor snowfall event on Monday. Kind of still getting some details on that because we've been really focused on this one. It's possible there's a dusting or maybe another inch or two in a couple of places. That one, though, really doesn't look like anything to worry about too much. Big thing to kind of hone in on and focus here is going to be those temperatures falling into the low 30s, upper 20s, maybe mid-20s a couple of days. Low temperatures down into the teens. So just a little bit on the colder side of things here. We kind of jumped immediately from those 50s all the way down here to some 20s for high temperatures. So a bit of an aggressive jump into winter here. But it certainly looks like winter is definitely in full swing here, despite the fact that we're still a couple of weeks away from the official start of it. But that's what to expect here for the rest of the week. Not too much happening outside of that minor snowfall on Monday. Another programming notes here. We typically, throughout most of the year, we'll have a 6 o'clock newscast on Saturdays. That one's not happening because we've got plenty of college football happening here on CBS. So you're not going to see us on air again until about 10 p.m. or so. And I believe this will probably be my last live stream update just because it looks like things are winding down in a few areas. And we'll kind of see things drop in activity here over the next couple of hours. So I'm thinking that for the most part, we'll just kind of keep you up to date here through our Facebook posts and stuff like that. But again, no live newscast until roughly 10 o'clock or so if everything stays on schedule here with CBS. So again, just keep following us here on our social media. Check us out at our website as well. We've got plenty of stuff there, whether it be the Winter Weather Center, our Weather Now article kind of delivers the forecast for you, or the winter weather blog as well that kind of posts some updates for you as they become available. So with that being said, we are about to get to 4:40 here in Central Illinois. Another thing I'll go ahead and advertise here since I've got a little bit of time before I wrap up. Obviously, that game is happening, the Illinois and Northwestern game. Our sports team is going to do their pregame stream here in just a little bit. They're going to get things ready for that. Curious to see how they're setting up for that one as well, because with the weather being the way it is, probably wouldn't be fun to do that from the field. But if you want to kind of check some things out, maybe get some, again, I don't want to promise something that they're not going to show you, but maybe they've got some sort of insight as to what they've seen there at the stadium. So you can check them out on their pages as well. The sports page here on their Facebook as well will definitely be worthwhile to watch that, among many other reasons. All right, so with that said, that's about all we got for you for right now. Hopefully the worst of it's behind you wherever you are. But if not, hang in there just another couple of hours and we are through the heaviest of snow. As you can see, things finally starting to push off to the east. So stay warm, stay safe wherever you are, and I hope you have a great rest of your Saturday. Hopefully things clear up a little bit Sunday. You can get to where you need to go and enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. All right, with all